Hari Om, everyone. We'll begin with an invocation prayer. Om. 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 Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Chalakalyane Niratam Karunalayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Hari Om, everyone. It is my honor to be able to help us kick off this new CHYKWest initiative of 2020, Booklight. A few things about this initiative, led by our Shubhaniji in New York. A group of us have been working to be able to bring together all of the different CHYK groups across the United States and Canada and elsewhere in the West, including even Trinidad and Tobago. Booklight is going to be a book club geared at bringing together all of us CHYKs, all of us of this next generation, those of us who were born after Gurudev's Mahasamadhi, and being able to get to know him in a more intimate way. How can we do that? Well, for the first time, we are going to bring in different Swamijis who have interacted with Gurudev in ways that we will never get to know. They will provide to us different anecdotes, different slices of his life through their own interactions. And so it is wonderful that Swami Swaroopananda, Pujya Swami Swaroopananda, the global head of Chinmaya Mission, would be able to kick this off for us. We have also with us Swami Ishwaranandaji tonight, Swami Shantanandaji tonight, Swami Sarveshanandaji tonight, Swami Radhikanandaji tonight, and many more teachers of Chinmaya Mission West also in attendance. Many of our Vedanta course graduates were able to join us tonight, and we're all very honored to be able to have them in our presence as well. Now, without further ado, I will try to introduce Swami Swaroopananda, who to us needs no introduction, but some things need to be said. So, Swamiji, born in Mumbai, ended up leaving this world and this world of worldly transaction in 1984. Later on, in 1982, he was initiated into the monotheistic order. And from then on, Swamiji has taken on so many different tasks and sevas through the mission. He has authored many commentaries and done so many books for us on different mantras, such as the Mahamrityunjaya mantra, and also given us more modern ways to be able to deal with life through simplicity meditation, storm to perform, and even takes on our Make It Happen course. Swamiji has formerly served as the regional head of Chinmaya Mission Far East, Australia, United Kingdom, Middle East and Africa, the director in charge of CHYKWest, and much, much more. Now, Swamiji is our global head of Chinmaya Mission. So without further ado, I please hand it off to Swamiji. And Pujya Swamiji, thank you so much for taking this first session with us. Hari Om.
Thank you, Amar. And greetings to all our CHYKs all over North America. It's a matter of great delight that we have kick-started this beautiful project of bringing all the CHYKs from all over USA on this common platform where we can discuss, share ideas, and hear of the experiences of various sevaks, devotees of Pujya Gurudev, and learn from them, at the same time learn from each other. Everybody asks me that, tell us something about Gurudev. The first text that you're going to be studying and reflecting upon is We Must. Pujya Gurudev was such a great motivator that just being in his presence, you just knew you can do anything. And once you discovered that you can, there was this compulsion within oneself that I must. It was not a command. It was an inner feeling that since I can do it, I must do it. The only thing is that Guruji pointed out that we must will to do it. And there's infinite potential in each and every one of us. Puja Gurudev would inspire you to look within yourself. Develop that confidence that I have it in me. And what I have in me, according to my nature, is so unique, so wonderful. And each one of us are so special. In fact, we hear that Bhagavan Krishna had this very special ability in himself that anyone who was in his life, anyone who came in his presence, felt that he loved them so dearly. In fact, they were the only one who were loved. So did Gurudev have this capacity, just like Krishna, to make everyone feel so special that you felt that I was the only one in the world loved by him. Means his love was completely for me. This is how Gurudev loved everyone. And you felt that love. And most important aspect of love is making a person love himself. Now, we may think that loving oneself is being selfish. We very often mix up attachment with love, possession with love, infatuation with love. We also think this ego to be selfish. But when we begin to know ourselves, the self is lovable, it's natural. Only thing is, very often when we see our minds, we think that, no, I'm not worth it. Maybe in our growing up, we begin to start feeling that, I'm no good. People don't think much about me. Sometimes I may have failed. Sometimes I may have done even something wrong. But a true lover never condemns you for what you have done, but makes you look forward for what you can do. And that's what Gurudev and his works are all about. He accepted us for who or what we were. Only kept on reminding us that there is a divinity within you. There is a beauty within you. There's something which is uniquely at this moment you. And when we express it in the service of the world, it is the greatest prayer. And when this self-love we express, seeing the self in everyone, that is the greatest devotion. And this divine compassion in our hearts is truly the noblest of all character. This he emphasizes in the very first chapter of We Must. The best way to bring out our potential and seek not just success but greatness is have a readiness to serve everyone. And in serving everyone, that doesn't exclude ourselves. When we serve everyone, including ourselves with them, not only we feel the sense of oneness, but at the same time, there is personal growth and there is growth of society, growth in this world, and Gurudev insists, we can, we must. Thus, Gurudev accepting us with love for what we are, made us recognize what is our potential. Personally, if I were to share with you my experiences, I very often ask, and I'm asking all of you, and you can all respond maybe together, no? So that I can hear you also. If when I was in school, there was one bad remark that used to appear every year in my report card. Guess what it was? At least think about it. Too talkative? Because I talk nowadays non-stop. My only bad remark used to be, too quiet. Does not talk. And when it is said, Mukam karoti vachalam, pangum langayate girim, it truly fits me that ever since I walked into my first CHYK class, I was made to start speaking. Till then, I would probably be judged for elocution competition, drama, but never given the stage to perform because everybody thought I was too quiet. I hardly talked. But once you get into Chinmaya Mission, you recognize that you can talk. No? And that's what I wondered, that how just being in Chinmaya Mission, and that time I just heard Gurudev from the platform. I had not even got a chance to get close to him, get direct inspiration in his close presence, though in the halls I used to listen to him, and his sheer mastery of the subject of Vedanta, the inspiration that he infused into you, the clarity of knowledge and its significance so relevant to you right now in your life, which you can see through every book of his, every talk of his you can hear. He made you feel that everything is so contemporary, so relevant, and most important is, it has to be done. It's for our good. That's the way to happiness. And we must do it. He made it so inspiring that you felt the compulsion that I have to do it. I have to do it. And there was nothing that we can't do. That was the inspiration he gave. And therefore, from inside, that roar would come up. I must, I must, I must. At the same time, in that I must, he never gave you a guilt. Because sometimes we are a little afraid that are we not pushed too much? Are not people expecting a lot from us? Sometimes we also seem to push ourselves a lot and feel guilty that we are not achieving even what we expected ourselves to achieve. Yet Gurudev's inspiration was, so what if you fail a number of times? So what if you did not achieve it in your first attempt? When your thoughts are noble, when you're ready to work for it, keeping the highest goals without fear of reaching it or not reaching it, just work towards it. We can, we must. And in that sheer inspiration, one saw beyond one's own limitations. In fact, many a times, we were not even aware of our limitations. We just did it because of the sheer inspiration of his presence. I will share with you something that I've shared with many, many youngsters, and some of you who may have attended the camps, and even recently when we had in USA the all US Chick Camp. And we will have one this year also in August 14th and 15th in Chicago. And look forward to seeing all of you personally there. This is one experience I share with everybody, and you might have seen it if you have been reading some articles. You must have seen it or read it somewhere, one of the famous quotes that came about. Gurudev's love for youngsters and his faith in them. Very often you've heard that statement, how people are constantly thinking that these youngsters, they're not responsible, these youngsters, they should be doing more, or these youngsters, they're only into fun and games and parties and maybe, relationships. Constantly we keep on hearing that. But having come to Chinmaya Mission as a chick at that time, one thing you felt was that there was a group of people striving to work and bring forth into performance their potential. We were encouraged, whether it was by our sevaks or visiting brahmacharis. It was a path of inspiration. Still, we looked forward each year for Gurudev's visit. And when he came, it's like spring coming, autumn coming. It was just beautiful, wonderful, just listening to his discourses. But once I joined the Chick, I had the opportunity of going for a bhiksha and having close quarters, having a question answer session with him. It was my very first such bhiksha with him. Few youth were gathered in a small apartment in Hong Kong. I got the first time to actually go and bow down to his feet. Till then, never really done it. And it was such a wonderful feeling of surrender for the first time, when we think that, holding our ego is something that gives us a sense of pride or self-esteem. But the wonderful feeling that felt, because when I was sitting there, still hesitant to bow down to him, and he never, even looked, a second glance to see what people are doing. It was a question answer session, and all of us were sitting there very quiet. Nobody was asking any questions. Can you imagine you're in the presence of about 40, 50 youngsters and nobody's asking questions? Something like the Zoom conference, You watch all the faces and nobody is saying anything. So you wonder, it's actually quite eerie for a person who's sitting, there and looking at all these blank faces. And Gurudev never likes just sitting quietly. But he was also sitting quietly. We were all looking at him, and actually we were so kind of enamored by him, his sheer presence, that we were all so quiet. Our Chick Sevak, he suddenly broke the silence and he said, in the Chick classes, you'll ask so many questions. Now the master himself is sitting here and you all are quiet. Why don't you all ask questions? And just like elders have this knack of, they won't ask the questions themselves. They've just tell the children, Swamiji's here, ask question, ask question. Now sometimes you don't have any questions, but ask questions, ask questions. So nobody was asking any questions. Some maybe we were inhibited, but the fact was something that Gurudev said that immediately struck us, that that's exactly what was happening. The sevak went on, pushing us and in a way lovingly scolding us, that now is your chance, ask question while you're sitting quiet. And Gurudev just silenced him and he said, when the mind is quiet, there are no questions. They are at this moment silent. There will be no questions. And it was true that in his presence, our minds were so silent that normally the questions that used to arise in us, they just dissolved. It was not even that we forgot them, it just dissolved. But now that the silence was broken, then suddenly some questions arose. And I had this one question. I had been listening, I had been reading a lot of books, and there was so much emphasis on meditation. And there are so many different types of meditation. There were so many groups of meditation even then. And it was kind of confusing that which path to follow. Then it was also those days, meditation means only from some guru you have to learn. Therefore, which guru you have to follow? No? Otherwise, you will not be initiated into it. A kind of a secret group, no? So I was confused and I asked, are there many types of meditation or is there only one type of meditation? And Gurudev just leaned forward, looked me straight into my eyes, and that penetrating look for the first time, as though he can just see through you, read your mind, and there was nothing that you would want to hide from him because there was so much love and compassion, and yet such authority and such firmness. And for the first time, you would want an authority in your life, no? And he just said, is there one type of medication? Is to emphasize his word, because meditation and medication. Is there one type of medication? As many diseases, that many medications. Even for the same headache, you have different medications because they're different heads with different headaches. So as many diseases, that many medications. And then he started laughing, and we laughed. Every pore of his body would scintillate with laughter. And he just looked at all of us and he says, as many diseased minds, means mind at disease, that many meditations are there. Our Upanishads are full of such meditations. Thousands of meditations have been pointed out there. And then he started describing. Some will say you take a fly and then you look at the body of the fly. Then you look at the head of the fly. And then you look at the face of the fly. Then you see his big eyes. And then you see the lips of the fly. Have you ever seen a lip of a fly? Anyway, you have to come to India. There'll be plenty of flies around. Lip of the fly. And then, when you see only the lip of the fly, see the smile of the fly. Have you ever seen a fly of the smile of a fly or can see? He said, your mind becomes silent. And like that, he described many methods by which in contemplation, you can take your mind to silence. And then he laughed and said, and don't you ask me my technique. I'll confuse you even more. But then he understood the drive of what was in my mind. And he says, the great masters have spoken the same truth. Once you know the principle, methods can be many. And that's when he said that let not anyone confuse you. Hold on to that truth that the great masters have pointed out. And that day, that moment, my heart just fell at his feet. My head just bowed at his feet. That a master who accepts everyone is a master that will not bind you, but a master who's truly there to liberate you. And that's when I knew that he is my guru. It was so uplifting that after that, when the youth had dinner with Gurudev, and he got up and himself gave the plate out to everyone. And everybody said, Swamiji, please don't, please don't. He said, I know what y'all will do. You'll feed me and my youngsters will be hungry. They've been sitting for 2 hours listening to me. They're hungry. So first feed them. So uplifted when we left from there. It was around 8:30, 8 or 8:30. It was too early. It was a Saturday night. Next day, early morning, Gurudev is leaving. It was Saturday night. It was not unusual even those days on Saturday night to go out late at night. But we rarely went out for parties, etc. So it was unusual that some of us would be late at home without informing. There were no mobile phones. We couldn't inform them. And there was only one place in that metropolitan city which was quiet, and it was called the Peak. That time there was nothing much there. There was an old cafe which was closed at night. So we went there and we were all so quiet. We didn't want to get back to our homes. Televisions used to be blaring whole night, day in our homes that time. Television was only entertainment. So we didn't want to go back home. We just wanted to be quiet. And we went to the Peak. Each one sat on different sides. Or when we met, we were just reveling in the quietude that we had experienced in the presence of Gurudev and the inspiration that we had got. We didn't realize when mind is quiet, time just passes so quickly. It did become quite late. Some of us didn't have a problem. We went home. But obviously, some parents must have called up the house to see where the youngsters are. Why are they late? While we are in peace, the world was in agitation. Some parents had called up our group sevak, naturally, Chik sevak, being an elderly person, uncle, or what a bad name these chicks must be giving to the parents that they went out late at night without informing. Nobody knew where we were. Nobody asked us. Next morning, Gurudev was leaving. We were at the airport, and every elder is jumping at us. Some parents of some chicks were there. That where did you all go? And nobody was ready to listen to us where we had gone and what we were doing, and making us feel really bad that, see, after a satsang, after a discourse with Gurudev, without telling your parents, you youngsters, boys and girls, went out. No, without telling them. No, we couldn't even tell them. It was not unusual even those days to go clubbing or to go to a disco. Though we never really went, and they knew that we didn't go. But what did they think? That after Gurudev's talk, we'll go to some disco or some nightclub? But that's how every elder there was jumping at us. And what a disgrace. We had to wake up Gurudev. Gurudev was angry. We have met Gurudev for the first time. We didn't want Gurudev to leave with an impression so bad. And when Gurudev came, we said, we'll just go and say sorry. Why give any explanation? Just say sorry, because they woke him up at night. They disturbed. Other people were agitated for no reason. But, their reason was that we were late. Gurudev walked in, and as usual, he would just walk into the airport. That time all boarding passes were ready. He strode in at the last moment just to walk in, looked at us, and we ran to bow down to him and just tell him that we are sorry, just that we are sorry. And he walked in. We just bowed down to him, and even before we could say sorry, he said, where were you all youngsters last night? We almost wanted to go under the carpet, but there were no carpets at the airport. So he said, where were you? Now, before we could even answer him, before we could just answer to him, all these adults they came, pushed us aside, they bowed down, and they took Gurudev straight to the immigration gate. And we were just waiting there. We would not be seeing Gurudev for a year now or more. It would be not right to write a letter. We couldn't, there was no emails immediately to respond. Just didn't know what to do. But Gurudev just turned around, looked at all the youngsters and said, my children, you don't have to go to the peak to meditate. But in meditation, reach the peak. What a wonderful message he gave us. You don't have to go to the peak to meditate. In meditation, reach the peak. And everybody got stunned because nobody knew where we had gone. We had not even given a chance to explain. But he just knew. And then he turned around to those people who had made such a big noise and he said, do you think my youngsters, after a session with me, would go anywhere else? Giving them a firm look, giving us a smile, walked away from there, flew away. And you could see that how much confidence he had in the youth, in the knowledge that he had given, and in his own presence. That he clearly said that my children will never do something that you need to be wary about. And that was the love and confidence he had in the youth. And therefore, when he says the youth can and the youth must, we should think within ourselves that we can, we must, and we will. And this particular book that you are going to study over this conference, from our different learned, and we'll say we all are seekers, will be a great experience, and I wish you all the best of learning experience, encouragement, self-confidence, and we must know that we can make a difference in our life and it will have an impact on the world. It is our responsibility. We must. So we're invoking Gurudev's blessings on all of you and encourage the maximum youngsters to participate in this new way of running a class. And I'm sure Gurudev will be laughing away that how times have changed and we are getting more and more innovative in spreading this message. This way, thousands of youth can be connected all over North America, in fact, eventually around the world, so that together we can learn, we can grow, and we can serve. We can, we must, and let's hear it from all of you. We will. So now I can't say leave the floor, I'll leave the screen open for questions. Hari Om, Shubhani.
Hari Om. Thank you, Swamiji.
Hari Om.
We have gathered some questions for Swamiji now. Our first question is, the scriptures tell us to be content, but how do we reconcile contentment and ambition? Shouldn't we also strive for more?
See, very often words like greed, ambition, just like love, attachment, are all muddled up in our conversation, and its connotations are very different in our mind. What I've understood from Gurudev, as well as from the books of knowledge and our own personal reflections, that there is a big difference between greed. First, I'll explain greed and ambition. Greed is having more and more out of our dissatisfaction. Ambition, which very often we cover our greed with the name ambition. It's not about having more and more and more, But in fact, ambition is a driving force within us. When we have the awareness that I have greater potential, I can perform to a greater level, and ambition is more about performance than having. Yes, we keep a goal to inspire us, but in ambition, the feeling is, I can do it, I must do it. There's an inner compulsion where I can do a lot more than what I am doing. I'm much more than what I limit myself to be. That is the feeling that brings about ambition, which makes us set some high goals, not only for our gain, but for benefiting many people more. This is what is called as ambition, as I understand it to be. This is what Gurudev encouraged us. Higher and nobler your goal, greater will be the dynamism that comes through you. When you strive for such goal with dedication and devotion, you break all your limiting barriers and discover, and that is the greatest gain, discover your nature, discover your abilities, discover your talents, discover your skills, and discover how much greater you are, not from anyone else, than what you imagined yourself to be. That is what is ambition. Very different from greed, which arises out of dissatisfaction, in which you hoard for yourself and it is never enough. While contentment is not non-performance, very wrong understanding. Contentment means recognizing how much more we have, and then only we stop feeling dissatisfied and crave for getting more for ourselves. But in fact, then is when ambition rises, that I must perform much more than what I am doing. And the attainment of that is far, far greater than just getting some more wealth. Wealth is actually a byproduct. And the greed of wealth can never be satisfied, even if you would get the whole kingdom and richness of the world. Therefore, contentment comes when you know that you have more than anyone else. And then only you recognize your potential. Very famous story that is told, that a man lost one shoe, was grumbling and complaining about it till he saw one man without one leg. Very often, with all the abilities and talents that we have, the upbringing as well as the investment that our parents and society have put into us, we still keep on thinking, I don't have enough. I have to have more and more and more. And our mind is only on attaining more wealth, when we don't recognize that there's a lot of wealth within us, of peace, happiness, giving, sharing, compassion. And this arises when there is contentment. So if you understand contentment in the right way, and at the same time, when you're content on receiving what you have. Now, when you have in plenty and you're not content, you will be struggling to get more and more. But when you are content with what you have, there is so much more you can do for the many. Therefore, content, in fact, gives you ambition. Greed gives you agitations. So I hope this becomes clear.
Thank you,
So
Swami.
be ambitious.
The next question we had was, how does one begin the practice of meditation? What should one do when the mind wanders?
Practice of meditation starts with the preliminary steps. This is given in the Bhagavad Gita. This is what is taught very often in the name of meditation, though it is much more than the initial practice. But even the initial practices, if we regularly do it, you will find to a great extent you will recognize that you are the master of your mind. And that is the greatest discovery. At this moment, we just get carried away with every emotion, every thought, every desire that comes in the mind. Now, when the mind is agitated, there's a link between the mind and the body, mind and your breath. Just as I can see most of you, you're listening so attentively. And today, it's not very hard for us to understand meditation. It is exactly what you do when you are on screen. See what happens? You're so focused that you don't look anywhere. And you watch yourself. How steadily you are sitting that most of you have not even moved. So you are already in meditation. So when your mind is quiet, your body is steady. But when our mind is agitated, we will not be able to be steady. You notice that when your mind is agitated, you will be restless. Either you'll take a pen and start clicking on it, or you will start being fidgety about it. Like when you're nervous, you'll be rubbing your hands. It only shows agitation. In fact, even when you're lying or when you're telling you're disturbed, you want to hide something, you will find your gaze also is fluctuating. Yeah? That's how custom officers can tell whether you're bringing in some eatables from India. Because your body will not be steady. Your gaze will not be steady. Therefore, it's important that when we can't directly quieten our mind, make your body steady, remain steady, and don't make any movements. There will be at some time the feeling that I need to scratch myself. Even sometimes I want to sneeze. Suddenly, normally you can watch a screen and be steady for 3 hours watching a soccer match or a football match. And yet when you sit in meditation, within 1 minute, you feel like scratching yourself. And if you can video yourself at that time, you really look like a monkey. All these funny actions. That's why whenever we take guided meditation, we close our eyes. So sit steady. Keep your eyes closed. See that there is no chewing gum in your mouth. Gurudev would even give that instructions. And remain steady and watch the steadiness of your body. In fact, if you practice just this much every day, not that there will be no thoughts in your mind, but to a great extent, your mind will become quiet. And in fact, your thoughts will be clearer to you. They will be slower. They won't be so random. At first, just there's a burst of thoughts, but slowly, the mind becomes quiet. So just sit steady and watch your steady body just as you would stand apart and watch a beautiful statue, a piece of art, and know that no one is as beautiful as you, isn't it? So just sit outside your body as though, not literally coming out from your body, but as though you're watching your body steadily. See to what extent your mind becomes quiet. Next step is watch your breathing. Third is, and do it slowly. Don't jump into it. After you've practiced sitting steady, and try in the beginning only for 5 minutes, increasing it for 10 minutes. Yeah. Eventually, maximum 20 minutes. Yeah. Keep steady, watch your body, and don't make any movement whatsoever. First, try it only for 5 minutes. When you have mastered 5 minutes, then go to 10 minutes. So you will find that to great extent your mind becomes quiet. Try it before an examination. Try it before an interview. You'll be surprised what effect it has. In our classes, as you know, we start with Shanti part. But very often, there's no Shanti in the Shanti part. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And immediately we pick up our books and start opening them. Make it a habit that even after chanting your Shanti part, just for a minute, experience that quietude and silence within. Again, I repeat, it's not that there will not be thoughts. And after a minute or two, there could be suddenly a surge of thoughts. Still remain steady. That will also go away, and you will get into deeper and deeper states of silence. Deeper still, you watch your breath, it will harmonize itself. You don't need to do any difficult pranayamas. And then one mantra, take it. And Gurudev constantly said Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. Even we take Hari Om and just keep repeating it in our mind, slowly, gently. It's not how many times, just slowly, gently. It gives you a sense of focus and prevents distraction. Mind will still go out. Suddenly a wild idea might come into the mind. Also, some agitations might creep in. At that time, say, I will attend to it. Just a little later, a few minutes later, okay? And get back to your japa. Practice this, and after your japa, again sit in silence. Thoughts will come, thoughts will go. You just remain as a witness to them. And when the mind is quiet, it's easy to be a witness. So practice this. Next question.
Thank you, Swamiji. The next question is, how do we distinguish ego from self-respect?
See, self-respect is also an ego. Right? Now you say, how is that? Other than identifying yourself with the infinite, you are disrespecting yourself. No? Because we take up some finite identity and then we want others to treat us according to what estimate we have of ourselves. Now, no doubt in this world, you respect your parents as parents because they play the role of your parents. It's for your benefit. No? You play the role of a teacher for the benefit of everyone. That respect is required. So when we say self-esteem and self-respect, whatever role you are playing, whatever duties you have, responsibilities you have, it has its own ethics. And when you live up to that, that is called as self-respect. And if you live up to your duties, you live up to your commitments, whatever profession, duty, or role you must be playing, people, in fact, will respect you eventually. But if you are in a position and people are disrespecting that position, it is your duty that you teach them, you guide them, and even make them do it. Yeah? Because that position requires, for the benefit of us only, respect. For example, you don't go to a doctor and say that, I Googled and doctor, I don't think this medicine you should be giving me. You've gone to the doctor, you must have faith in that doctor, respect the wisdom of that doctor. Otherwise, don't go to the doctor, Google before that. No? So that is called as self-respect. Give it to others, you will also get it. But when you put up a facade and expect from others what you're not ready to give them, then that is ego. Next question.
Thank you. Many times in satsang, I hear the only person you can change is yourself. You have no control over anyone else, their thoughts, actions, behaviors. However, when I witness irresponsible or unjust behavior, actions or attitudes prevalent within society, I have a strong urge to want to change them. Is this wrong? Furthermore, I feel that sometimes people who are well-versed in Vedanta use it as justification to not actively try and induce a more just society around them. Can Swamiji help resolve this?
See, I think the statement which you gave initially, you may have heard it, but its implication is something totally different. Please understand that if Gurudev did not change himself and did not go out with love to spread this knowledge with a loving expectation to change the very downward trend of our culture, can you imagine where would we all be? What is said is basically that to change ourselves is in our hands. We should help others also in that positive change. Otherwise, why all these chick classes? Why did Gurudev start such a great mission? It is to serve people, to change, to develop, to grow. And yes, change is wanted within ourselves, in the world around us. But when you work in the world, work with dedication, not just expectation. No? So, yes, work to change yourself, and you will be able to change the world around you. It is your inspiration, your growth that will inspire others to change. And yes, you can be a contributor of that change. But you cannot force that change on anyone if they are not ready to change themselves. The meaning is that, no? How difficult it is to change ourselves. Therefore, it is difficult to change others, but you can definitely inspire them to change themselves. So yes, that enthusiasm that you have is the spirit of Chinmaya mission. Change yourself, change the world around you. It is our responsibility. We must. Next question.
Thank you, Swamiji. There are so many values emphasized to be of importance in some context or another. To a certain extent, I agree that each of us must prioritize which value is most relevant to us and our personal growth. However, are there a few central values that really pave the path for other values to be cemented in our lives?
In all initial books of Gurudev, like Kindle Life, Manual of Self-Unfoldment, we must. And in our culture, even before you go and join a school, Gurukula, when you are given the samskaras, the values, along with the sacred thread to remind you, before you're given the initiation to the Gayatri Mantra, 3 values that I emphasize, which is the basis of all values. And that is Brahmacharya, Ahimsa, and Satyam. Brahmacharya means living a life of intelligent self-mastery. Not about just controlling of the sexual urges, etc. It is Brahmacharya. Everybody just thinks Brahmacharya means only celibacy and therefore get very frightened with it. In married life, there will be relationships. That is not, but to live a life of mastery over our senses, mind, and therefore living a life even of goodness, but in moderation, so that we know when to act, when not to act, what to indulge in, what we should not indulge in, and even what we indulge in, if it's good, how much to indulge in. This self-mastery, born of our discrimination for our self-development, is called as brahmacharya. And until unless there is some form of mastery in our expression, it is very hard to execute any value or express any value. So brahmacharya. All values of compassion, kindness, giving, sharing come under ahimsa. And that is not just non-violence, because physically, if somebody attacks you, you have to protect yourself. Non-violence means not even a feeling of wanting to hurt someone, whether physically, verbally, or even mentally at the highest. Yet such thoughts might come in the beginning stages. But ahimsa, from where rises all compassion, kindness, forgiveness, therefore ahimsa. And all this is possible when we live a life of honesty. And honesty is not just speaking the truth, but as Gurudev points out, living up to our ideals, our knowledge, our conviction. So I think this summarizes the very basis of all virtues, and we should concentrate on these three pillars.
Hari Om, Swamiji. We would like to thank Swamiji for coming, for sharing Puja Gurudev's stories with us, for inspiring us, and for answering all of our questions. We hope that this endeavor will bring us closer to Puja Gurudev and closer to Swamiji and help us serve this mission stronger. At this point in time, I'd like to call Swami Swaroopananda ji, National Director of CHYKWest, to please say a few words.
Hari Om Swamiji, Pranam,
Hari Om.
and Hari Om to all of you. This is a beautiful and wonderful effort started by Shabana and Amar. Congratulations. And of course, our thanks to Swamiji for taking his precious time and joining and inspiring this. And I'm really amazed that there are these many in this new format of satsang. And to start it off with Swamiji and with the book We Must was an amazing experience. And moving forward, we will be planning many more such. And I look forward, and I also request all of you to look forward for many such programs and initiatives to start with. Congratulations to both Shabana and Amar.
Congratulations to all of you, and have a wonderful experience. Our various sevaks will be with all of you, and you'll get a great exposure of all the sharing. Hari Om.
Hari Om, Swamiji. We would like to request everyone else to stay back for a few announcements that we need to make. So first, we are grateful to everyone for attending Booklight. Our next session will be in 2 weeks, where we will start the text We Must, and this will be led by Swami Shantananda ji. So please keep in touch, and please whitelist Booklight at CHYKWest.org in your email address. A few more initiatives that we have going is we have a Chick Camp, which will take place in February in San Jose. So please ensure to attend that. I'm going to start sharing some flyers via my screen. So please have a look. So we have the Art of Self-Love on President's Day weekend. So please make sure to attend that. As well as Swamiji, Puja Swamiji will be coming in the summer, and we will have our National Chick Camp. And this will be in Chicago from August 14 to 16. So please ensure you attend that. Our next initiative with Swamiji is Think Big, Think Chinmaya. We have all connected as chicks together. Now we're all going to connect globally as one big Chinmaya Mission family. And this will take place on February 1 and 2. So please go to chinmayamission.com to sign up for this. And a last announcement, of course, is our Mahasamadhi camp. So we all have such wonderful opportunities to connect with each other, to learn from each other, and to grow together. So please take advantage of it, and we hope to see you in them. Now I'd like to call on Amarji to lead us to the closing prayer.
Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om, everyone. Please stay tuned for further email updates from our Booklight team. And we cannot wait to start our next session with Swami Shantanandaji taking the first 2 chapters of We Must. Hari Om, everyone.
We'll see you in 2 weeks. Hari Om.